Have you ever felt this way? You prepare for days. You rehearse every detail. You edit your words, your clothes, even your smile. And still, you feel like you're one small mistake away from being rejected. What if I told you that this isn't about being too careful? It's about a hidden belief that's quietly running your life in the background. Today, we're going to expose one very specific belief: I must be perfect to be accepted. And I'll show you how this one sentence is draining your energy, sabotaging your life, and keeping you from feeling truly safe. Let's be honest. Maybe you're the type of person who double checks every message before sending. You hesitate before sharing your real opinion. You avoid posting content because it's not perfect yet. You feel anxious when someone might see your weak side. Underneath all of this, there's a quiet fear. If they see the real version of me, they won't accept me. You hold back your needs, you hide your anger, you push away your sensitivity, because being almost perfect feels safer than being truly seen. This belief shows up in many areas of life. In relationships, you never fully show your vulnerable side. At work, you overwork, stay late, and never say no. Online, you edit, delete, and redo until almost nothing ever gets published. And deep down, you wonder, why am I so afraid of making a mistake? Or worse, why can't I just be enough as I am? Now let's name this belief. It usually sounds like this: I must be perfect to be accepted. On the surface, it sounds like a rule for safety, but under the surface, it carries three hidden messages. First, you are not enough as you are. Second, one mistake equals rejection. And third, love is conditional on your performance. That's a heavy price to pay for a single thought. This belief usually forms early in life, from parents, teachers, or society telling you you could have done better. You made a mistake. That was embarrassing. Over time, your brain internalizes it. Don't be yourself. Be useful. Be impressive. Be flawless. And so you start building a persona: the careful one, the controlled one, the high achiever, the nice one. But the real you, the one with doubts, desires, shadows, and sensitive parts, you keep that locked away. And that tension is what causes anxiety, burnout, and a sense of inner emptiness. Here's the trick your mind plays on you. Your brain doesn't want to revisit old pain, so instead of feeling the fear of rejection, it creates a rule. Be perfect, and then you're safe. This rule becomes a shortcut. If you follow it, you feel in control. If you break it, you feel guilt, shame, or panic. But emotionally, those feelings are not about the present moment. They're echoes from the past: times you were criticized, times you were judged, times you felt abandoned. Now your present life is innocent. A friend sends a casual text. A client leaves a small review. A partner makes a normal demand. But your nervous system reacts as if it's a life-threatening event. What if I'm not good enough? One mistake could mean I'm not loved anymore. That's why you panic over small errors, over-explain your actions, chase external validation to feel safe. The problem isn't that you care. The problem is that you're managing an old survival program with your adult life. Now, the real question is, how do you start shifting this belief without becoming a mess or lazy? You don't need to destroy perfectionism overnight. You need to negotiate with it. Here's a simple practice you can try. Tonight or tomorrow, pick one small situation where you usually try to be perfect: sending a message, posting content, showing up in a meeting, having a conversation with someone important. Before you act, ask yourself, first, what part of me is afraid right now? Second, what rejection am I trying to avoid? Third, am I safe enough to show a slightly imperfect version of myself? Then do this. Reduce your effort by about 10 to 20%. Send the message with a typo allowed. Post the video even if it's not perfectly edited. Express your opinion without over-justifying. And after it happens, pause and ask, did I actually get rejected? Did the world collapse? What did I actually gain by being less perfect? You're not trying to become careless. You're collecting evidence that you can be imperfect and still be accepted. This is how you slowly update your inner system. Now let's talk about what this belief is really protecting. Underneath perfectionism, there's usually a vulnerable part, a part that feels small, needy, soft, sensitive. When you were younger, that part may have been judged, laughed at, or ignored. So your system learned, hide that part, make it disappear, become strong instead. But the mind doesn't understand nuance. It doesn't say, show this part when it's safe. It says, hide this part all the time. And so, as an adult, you keep your softness, your boundaries, your needs, and your shadow under a layer of control and performance. But that part of you never stops trying to be seen. It shows up as anxiety, overthinking, inner criticism, a subtle feeling of being fake. That's your shadow speaking, your hidden self asking, can I exist as I am? Can I be soft and still be safe? Can I be needy and still be loved? The good news is, yes, you can. Safe attachment doesn't come from perfection. It comes from honesty, from showing up with your strengths and your limitations, from admitting, sometimes I'm tired, sometimes I'm confused, sometimes I feel like I don't have it all together, and still receiving the message, that's okay. You don't need to be perfect to be loved. You need to be real. Now, if you recognize this belief in your life, I must be perfect to be accepted, take a moment right now. Name one area where this belief is secretly running the show: relationships, career, online presence, self-image, and then ask yourself, what would change if I allowed myself to be slightly imperfect and still be worthy of love? That's not a question for entertainment. That's a question for your future. If you want more content like this about hidden beliefs, shadows, and the programs that run your life in a calm, grounded way, then the next step is simple. Hit the like button if this video resonated with you, subscribe to NeuroShadows, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next video. Because next time we're going to talk about one of the most common shadows that hides behind perfection, the fear of being seen as weak or needy, and I'll show you how to stop confusing vulnerability with danger. If you want, type in the comments, imperfect me, and tell me, what's one small thing you're going to allow yourself to be imperfect about this week? Remember, being perfect is not the way to be accepted. Being real is, because when you hide your shadows, you also hide your strengths. When you overperform, you exhaust your soul. Your worth isn't a result of your performance, it's a foundation for your life. If this video helped you see a hidden pattern in yourself, thank you for watching. See you in the next video.